So 9 out of 10 times the opportunities that have presented themselves, they keep presenting. See, the thing is, they will keep presenting themselves. It's just that you need to be very okay with taking risk and failing.
In today's episode of Questions I Wanted to Ask, I've had the opportunity to speak with former cricketer, commentator, and sports content creator Aakash Chopra. Aakash and I spoke about the preparation that goes behind commentating for cricket, while billions of people across the world look at you to entertain them while they watch a cricket match, and how he manages to consistently create content, prepare, travel, and balance all other aspects of his personal and professional life. Welcome to Questions I Wanted to Ask. Thank you for giving me time while you are quarantining and doing 20 different things between cricket and producing and a lot of social media that you do.
Yes, I end up doing a lot of stuff, Anshu, just keeping myself busy, as they say. And Mumbai is a very expensive city, so to make ends meet, a man has to do a little more than he actually can afford. So yes, busy.
Oh my God. Aakash, I have to tell you something. I think around 2 years back, we were recording for something, if you remember. And at that time, I was like, in my head, it was like, and podcast was nowhere in my head. I said, if I ever get a chance, I'm going to, ask him, how does he do this? Because I remember we were supposed to record for 8 hours. You, I think, went on to record for 14 hours,
Correct.
Which was not your commitment. It would have not been your problem. But what do you say, true sportsman, you kind of just stayed and you came the next day to record.
Correct.
I mean, how do you manage to do such long hours of speaking?
Well, that's tough. Honestly speaking, sometimes I tell my wife that all of us should actually lose calories when we talk. Then I'll be a thin man. Then I don't have to exercise. But yeah, your throat gives up at some stage. That I feel sometimes in commentary as well, back to back. If you're doing something and if it's a really exciting game, you do feel the pain here, because I'll let you into a little secret that when I'm actually in front of a camera and when I'm actually commentating and all, I end up speaking a little differently than I actually do. My voice is very shrill, it's very thin, and it's not the voice that is acceptable in this environment, this world of broadcasting. So I did a course. I started to learn. I learned how to speak differently,
Yes.
and that takes a toll, because that's not what I've done for 40 years of my life. So
Yeah.
it is kind of tiring, but then it's extremely rewarding. So with regards to that one recording that we did together, see, Anshu, the fact was that I also underestimated. We had to record about 1,500 lines. We end up doing 1,650 lines. And we thought that we'd be able to knock it off quickly, but it just didn't happen. And I tell myself one thing all the time, and that was the thing that I told myself back then as well, that the guy who's listening to me is least concerned about my problems. He is here for pure entertainment purposes, maybe a little bit of educational purpose, information and all of that. But he's not here to listen to my problems, and he's not a part of my problem. And I have no reason to behave in a certain way or sound a certain way. And voice can actually make you, people who are listening to you can actually feel what you're going through. So even when you're tired, even when you're irritated, even when you're frustrated, you're disappointed, you may have lost a job, you've been told that, man, don't come tomorrow, you're out. But when you are behind the mic, the guy should have a complete immersive experience as best as you can provide. So when we agreed to 1,500 lines, how does it matter if you're not able to complete, and you can't do a shoddy job, because whatever you do, it actually stays there for perpetuity, 9 out of 10 times. And then you don't want to look back at it and say, I should have given a little more. So do the best that you can.
But, and it was quite amazing, because I know it was a very, very heavy project, from your output perspective, because it's not easy to record speak constantly for 8 or 10 hours or 12 hours and all of that. But tell me, I just want to take a step back to, while you were playing as a sportsman, things that your mind requires versus as a performing artist are technically two different things, right? how do you prepare for that switch? As a sportsman, yes, there's a lot of physical, discipline required, and maybe food and all of that stuff. Whereas as a performing artist, it's like you're perceptive. आपकी आंखें, कान, नाक सब खुले हैं, and आप just चीजें absorb कर रहे हो to be able to bring an output, right? How did you? What was that switch like? And
Okay, so Anshu, I actually, when I jumped into this side of cricket, I'll say cricket because I'm just cricket broadcast.
yeah,
So first I was playing, and then I jumped onto this side, which is talking about the game.
yeah,
I learned it very quickly that I spent a lot of time to learn the game and just to play the game, put bat to ball, and run
yes,
properly and field properly and catch properly and all of that. So when I spent like 20 years doing the same thing every time, like every day, single living day, I
yeah,
did that. Then if I'm now trying to do something else, it is a
yeah,
completely different profession. Of course, it's
yeah.
the sport that you're talking about, and that's why you're allowed to talk. Otherwise, if you didn't play for
Commonality
India,
कुछ थी. Yeah.
है ना अगर अगर नहीं
हाँ.
होगा तो see, Akash Chopra, a non-India cricketer, a non-first class cricketer, a non-entity, there must be 20,000 Akash Chopras in the world. So
Sure.
everybody doesn't get the job, the luck, the privilege to actually commentate on the sport. So I know that this privilege has been given to me because I played certain amount of cricket, but that is where it stops. Now it is a different profession. अगर profession different है तो उसके लिए काम different करना पड़ेगा, मेहनत different करनी पड़ेगी to understand the nuances of this profession as deeply as I did when I was learning how to hold the bat and swing the bat.
Sure.
So voice modulation, that course that I did was a part of that journey. Listening to people, understanding, and once again be perceptive. Just keep observing. I don't claim to know everything, but I am a good observer. So I'll when I'm in company of some senior cricketers who played a lot more cricket than I have, senior
Yeah.
broadcasters who have broadcasted a lot better than and a lot more than I have. I keep picking their brains. I keep learning. I keep taking those little lessons, and I've not let my guard down. Anshu, that's one thing that I've learned, that no matter what happens, the fact is every performance is a new performance. Like every game is
Yeah.
a new game, and
Yeah.
you just cannot let your guard down. One slip up, you're failing at a public platform, and then you will be criticized and crucified, and that's how it should be. So do not let your guard down, because while playing cricket, of course, 20 years of hard work eventually culminated into you playing for India and all of that, right? So instincts take over. But in this profession, it's only about 5-6 years.
Yeah.
So for instincts to take over, to actually get on top of everything every single time subconsciously, it requires more time. And you have to react to everything live. So live has a different pulse, a different beat. You miss it. It's not going to come back, and you've ruined everyone's experience. At least when you're playing, you get out and you ruin your experience and your teams, maybe the fans. But now that when you're commentating, you're actually ruining like a billion people who are watching, and they say, "Shut up, man! You've not embellished, you've not enhanced my experience, you've ruined it." And that's not what I want to do ever.
Interesting. But Akash, what is the kind of preparation today? A lot of people think कि अच्छा इन्होंने क्रिकेट खेला है तो अब ये आते हैं माइक पे बोल देते हैं. Right. I really want you to kind of elaborate more on the kind of preparation you've gone for years, and I know you continue to do that right now, in detail as to what it takes to actually commentate for a country where cricket is a religion.
It takes a lot. अंशु क्या है कि preparation तो इनफैक्ट अभी जैसे कॉल खत्म होगी, there is another call lined up. The call is now to talk about कि IPL की commentary के अंदर what are the things that we want to put out and all of that. So that will be another call that you now, at the time of recording, of course, IPL is still a few days away.
Yeah.
So you start preparing, you arm yourself with a lot of knowledge, numbers, data, history, and so you arm yourself with all of that. But the core philosophy, the DNA is to find the right time. Timing is critical. I may know 20,000 things in the world, but I have only 20 seconds to articulate one thought. Now, that one thought I have to prioritize, and then I have to put it out there in a fashion, in a manner that it actually sticks. Everything is not going to stick, but the fact is, I cannot just because I can play. So somebody gave me this example, and so when I was starting out, so producers, directors, they keep observing you, right? I'm the new kid. So I had like they asked me a question. I had three answers, beautiful, and in fact four or five maybe. So I started here and then I went there and then went somewhere else. And then I think, okay, it's 1 minute, 20 seconds. I've just been talking. Long back, Prannoy Roy actually said that a talking head cannot be there for more than 40 seconds. 40 seconds and you have to be off. Watch your, just count your seconds and get off, because beyond that, I don't want to see your face. I don't want to listen to you. So I was going on for 120. So now you have like 40 seconds, ki jagah 80 seconds, 90 seconds. And then this guy came to me and said, you know what? It's like there is a half volley. You have three shots. You can either play a straight drive, a cover drive, or flick. But now choose one right now. Whatever that one shot that you want to play, you will get the same ball again. Then you play the second shot and then you play the third shot. But don't get greedy. That this ball, because I can play three shots and I have so much knowledge that I want to impart and share, that I become verbose. So verbosity becomes a bit of an issue in our in our world, because all of us are in love with two things. One is our name, the second is our voice. We love listening to our voice. So that is something that all of us in the business of talking need to be a bit more careful. Where to stop is extremely important, and constantly knowing the timing, I think, is critical, because when the shot is played, that will be played once. The match will be won once. The trophy will be lifted once. So these are things that are going to happen only once in that game, or sometimes in a tournament. So you should be prepared. I actually feel that you should be prepared with your lines. Go down to that extreme, that you've rehearsed that, maybe write it if you need to, and rehearse that 5 times. So that the moment that winning shot has been hit, should be so spontaneous, whatever comes out of your mouth, that describes that emotion, the shot, the pictures, and everything along with it, seamlessly. It should not be an effort. So I've screwed up as well earlier. Like, I've messed it up a few times in the past. Learned that, in fact, I have an incident to share. It was Kumar Sangakkara's final game. It was my first or second assignment as a commentator. So I was sitting with someone. He said, he kept the mic down. He said, "Aakash, all yours." And I was like, okay, all mine. Now Sangakkara is playing his last match and he's just walking out. He's walking out after getting out, and I just couldn't do justice to it. I ruined his last departure from the ground, and I was like, this cannot happen again. If I were to be in this industry, I need to be much better prepared, because I'm ruining everything. I might as well have just been shut. That would have been better, because his records, he's such a great player and all of that. But by opening my mouth and being just for the lack of preparation, I ruined the experience. I ruined that moment, and that's never going to get repeated again. There's only one time Sangakkara is going to go out for the final time in his career. So that was 2015. Now it's 2021. I've got down to the stage where I prepare. I know what I'm going to say when.
So you literally write your lines?
Almost like that, yes. If it's in my head, I repeat it a few times so that when it happens, it comes out. Tuck, 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 tuck. But once in a while, you still mess up. But yeah, the better prepared.
It's amazing. I always thought ki commentators, because most of them are ex-cricketers, right? Maybe barring one or two, few. I feel कि अच्छा ये लोग गेम देखते हैं और जो मन में आता है बोल देते हैं. I never thought that they have lines written, because I mean that's the amount of...
Actually, Anshu, मन में आता है वो बोलते हैं. That is absolutely correct, because you're observing, right?
That's your skill also.
Yeah, but then there are certain moments that require a little more, and cricketers are not suited for it. See, I'm not suited for it because I'm not a literature student, right? I've not done this for my life. Harsha is meant for it. Jatin Sapru is meant for it. I'm not meant for it. I didn't really learn this art. So if I am given that job at that point in time, when the World Cup is getting over, India is winning the trophy or whatever, then I should know what I need to say. And if I don't know, the words are not going to flow. If they're not flowing, what am I doing there? And so there are two roles in a commentary box. One is of a caller, the other is of an expert. So expert ka kya hota hai? 9 out of 10 times, the senior cricketer sits on the other side because he's an expert. So he only reacts to your question or to a replay, or he has time to think because he's bringing in that expertise. Now, what has happened over a period of time, that people like me, we have become callers for a certain skill set, that I have the ability to just create a theater. Now, whoever can create a theater has to be the caller. So, but caller I'm still a cricketer, right? So I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know how to create that theater. Okay, I'll amp it
Yeah.
up and I do this and do that, but I still need lines at times. I still need to explain what has just happened beyond going beyond Shandar, Lajawab, बहुत बढ़िया, खास है. I mean, this is done, यार. Now give me something that is there for the ages. So उसके अंदर yeah, you need to prepare. You need to be absolutely spot on, and that is how. And then you have to have your signature on everything that you do. Is also something that I've learned. Yes, there'll be a lot of memes that will be made, but memes उसी के बनते हैं जिसको लोग एक्नॉलेज कर रहे हो, अप्रिशिएट करे ना करे, बट सुन तो रहे हैं, समझ तो रहे हैं. बिकॉज अगर मीम्स नहीं बना रहे तो इसका मतलब सुन ही नहीं रहे. सो सुनना बड़ा जरूरी है. तो उसके लिए यू नीड टू प्रिपेयर. आई प्रिपेयर, मैन, आई डू.
It's very interesting because, now when I'm thinking, anybody who's in performing arts, because this is a world of creators today, right? We all think कि अच्छा Instagram चालू किया, YouTube चालू कर दिया, live पे चले गए. What they don't realize is there's a lot of preparation that goes, behind it, even, on moments that you create and stuff like that. And I mean, this actually can be preparation, can be applied. What you just said can be applied to pretty much a lot of the content creation process. But Aakash, tell me, when you started to do commentary, there's a certain style that you own now. You have a unique way. आपकी जो भाषा पे पकड़ है, I mean, जो हिंदी जो आपने चूज किया, भाषा पे जो पकड़ थी, you could have easily gone to speak in English, right?
Correct.
How well thought of, and what did you prepare to हिंदी में बोलने के लिए क्या किया आपने?
तो ओके, सो आई कम फ्रॉम दिल्ली ना, तो अंशु मैं दिल्ली का हूँ, तो दिल्ली वालों को हिंदी हमारी प्राइमरी लैंग्वेज है, फर्स्ट लैंग्वेज इज हिंदी. इंग्लिश जो है वो थोड़ी सी हमारे को सीखनी पड़ी. हिंदी इज समथिंग दैट कम्स नेचुरली टू ऑल ऑफ अस. तो आई टेल यू व्हाट हैपेंड. सो समटाइम्स कि हमें लगता है कि हम स्टोरी खुद लिख रहे हैं, पर वो स्टोरी कोई और लिख रहा होता है, वी आर जस्ट एक्टिंग आवर पार्ट इन इट. सो आई वाज विद अक्षी, माय वाइफ. तो हम दुबई में बैठे थे और सोच रहे थे कि दुबई का दिस होटल का कमरा, आई हैड गॉन देयर फॉर सम ब्रॉडकास्ट ड्यूटीज एंड आई स्टिल नॉट रिटायर्ड. तो मैंने उससे बोला, मैंने कहा अपना खत्म हो रहा है, आई डोंट वांट टू प्ले मोर, वी गॉट अ लिटिल बेबी नाउ, सो इट्स बिकमिंग अ बिट टू मच. तो करेंगे क्या? कह रहे देखो, कमेंट्री तो आकाश हो नहीं पाएगी. ये बात तो हमें पता थी कि कमेंट्री नहीं होगी, क्योंकि सिर्फ एक स्ट्रीम होती थी, दैट वाज इंग्लिश. इंग्लिश के अंदर 8 लोग थे जो उनको कोई हिला नहीं सकता था. और जिसमें सुनील गावस्कर साहब थे, जिसमें संजय मांजरेकर जी थे, जिसके अंदर रवि शास्त्री थे, जिसके अंदर हर्षा भोगले थे, और अभी अभी राहुल द्रविड़, सौरव गांगुली, वीवीएस लक्ष्मण रिटायर हुए थे. आई मीन, क्या चांस है कि कमेंट्री बॉक्स के इर्द गिर्द भी मुझे कोई घुसने देगा? देयर इज नो चांस. सो हमने कहा क्या करेंगे, दिल्ली से आते हैं, अपना न्यूज चैनल्स करेंगे. आई यूज्ड टू राइट, आई रिटन 3-4 बुक्स बाय दैट टाइम. चलो लिखेंगे और न्यूज चैनल्स करेंगे. उसके बाद हिंदी सडनली स्टार केम इन 2013. स्टार केम इन 2013 एंड दे डिसाइडेड कि बॉस हिंदी को बनाना है यार, और हिंदी को बनाना है तो फिर हिंदी बोलने वाले आपको लोग चाहिए. उसमें जरूर आपके पास कपिल पाजी है, उसके अंदर आपका शरीफा है, उसके बाद आपका वीरू है, उसके बाद आपके पास और लोग हैं जो बड़े बड़े नाम है. पर फिर एकदम से जहां पे 8 कमेंटेटर चाहिए होते थे, अब 16 चाहिए थे. और 16 में जो था वो टचवुड बाय गॉड्स ग्रेस, क्योंकि मैं इतने समय से कुछ काम करता आ रहा था, कूडोस टू स्टार, उन्होंने डिसाइड किया कि टेक्निकली वी हैव टू एक्चुअली, बिकॉज क्या होता था कि हिंदी एज ए लैंग्वेज, एंड दैट्स अ प्रॉब्लम, आई विल टेल यू. सो उससे पहले 2008, 9 और 10 आईपीएल सीजन, आई वाज डूइंग सम वर्क फॉर सोनी. तो सोनी की एक्स्ट्रा इनिंग्स होती थी, मैं वहां जाता था. तो उन्होंने भी हिंदी कमेंट्री करते थे. तो मैंने ना उनको कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में बड़ा क्लियर लिखवाया था कि मैं सिर्फ आपके एक्स्ट्रा इनिंग्स के शो करूंगा, मैं आपकी हिंदी कमेंट्री बिल्कुल नहीं करूंगा. आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू एंटर दैट कॉम बॉक्स. वो कहते क्यों? मैंने कहा क्यों कह रहे हो, ये सारा रेपुटेशन खराब करेंगे, क्योंकि ना ये हिंदी कमेंट्री को इतना वो डम डाउन वर्जन करते हैं और इतना ज्यादा उसको मतलब उसका तो तिरस्कार होता है. कहते हैं कि ये एकदम नहीं करनी है, ये जो करता है इसका मतलब क्लासलेस बनता है. तो ये मेरे को वहां कर देंगे और मैं कभी, मेरा करियर ही नहीं बनेगा. मतलब इवन बिफोर आई स्टार्ट, आई विल नेवर बी एन इंग्लिश कमेंटेटर बिकॉज आई विल बी टैग्ड एज दिस हिंदी गाय. तो ये स्टैंडर्ड था उस समय पे. उसके बाद ऑफ कोर्स द माइंडसेट चेंज. Star started it, then the entire world actually just embraced it. और जहां 8 लोग चाहिए थे, अब 16 चाहिए थे आपको. 16 लोग चाहिए थे, तो उसके अंदर अब कोई, nobody was looking down upon Hindi anymore. तो उसमें अंशु क्या होता है कि ना, स्टार का एक बड़े फिलॉसफी थी, एक थ्योरी थी, और वो थ्योरी गलत नहीं थी. क्या कहते थे वो कि हिंदी लोगों को इसलिए पसंद नहीं आई है क्योंकि हिंदी के साथ ना कभी किसी ने न्याय नहीं किया ढंग से. कि आप जब आपको लगता है कि जो हिंदी देखता है ना, उसको क्रिकेट समझ में नहीं आती, तो उसको ना क्रिकेट की बात ही मत करो. उसको अगर आपने क्रिकेट की बात करनी शुरू की तो वो ना आपसे ना थोड़ा दूर चला जाएगा, क्योंकि उसकी समझ में नहीं आती बेचारे को. एंड वी वुड ऑलवेज थिंक कि यार लैंग्वेज कैसे बैरियर हो सकती है कि उसको इंग्लिश आती है तो उसको क्रिकेट समझ में आती है, उसको हिंदी आती है तो इसका मतलब उसको क्रिकेट समझ में नहीं आती। आई मीन हाउ इज दैट फेयर? सो स्टार को उस समय
स्टैटिस्टिक्स तो डिफरेंट ही है, कुछ और ही है।
सो वो बाद में डेवलप हुए ना, स्टैटिस्टिक्स बाद में आए, अभी तक तो कुछ था नहीं। तो स्टार ने कहा देखो जी ऐसा है, वी आर गोइंग टू नाउ सिंप्लीफाई द गेम फॉर द हिंदी स्पीकिंग पीपल। आकाश इज अ गाय हु नोज हिज टेक्निक एंड ही इज रिटन लॉट ऑन टेक्निक, दैट्स हिज स्ट्रांग फोर्ट। तो इसको क्या करते हैं, इसके लिए हम एक सेगमेंट बनाते हैं, गेम प्लान, और आकाश जो है वो टेक्निक के बारे में बात करेगा, और उसके अंदर सिर्फ ध्यान ये रखना है कि हम कोई वो बड़े बड़े जार्गन्स नहीं यूज करेंगे, बड़ा सिंप्लीफाई करके वही टेक्निक समझा रहे हैं, पर टेक्निक इन अ वेरी सिंपल लैंग्वेज, क्योंकि लैंग्वेज शुड नेवर बी अ बैरियर। तो वहां से कहानी शुरू हुई, एंड देन देयर वाज नो लुकिंग बैक। नाउ यू गिव मी एन ऑप्शन एंड दोज ऑप्शंस हैव प्रेजेंटेड देमसेल्व्स कि आप इंग्लिश करोगे या हिंदी करोगे। देयर इज नो वे आई एम डूइंग इंग्लिश, आई एम डूइंग हिंदी। कोई चांस ही नहीं है, मतलब क्योंकि the world has changed. The world has changed. The landscape has changed completely. People's perception towards the language has changed. और वो नहीं भी change करती तो consumption तो है ना. That is my audience. I'm reaching out to so many more people. तो फिर क्यों, मतलब why should I actually go in a language which is an adopted language? It's not my natural language. I'm not Brit. And I'm still Indian. और मैं दिल्ली का लड़का हूँ यार, हिंदी आती है तो हिंदी जो मेरी पहली जो मेरी भाषा है, तो why not in that language? And it has been that kind of a journey.
And it's interesting कि आपने वो हिंदी के साथ में बहुत सारी insights, like there's a particular thing that you do on your social media where Correct. People send you videos and you do voiceovers on them. Like I think it's one of my most favorite thing on your.
No, that is fun. That is fun. I'll tell you. तो वो I think उसमें we hit a jackpot. ये just like that कि सोच रहे थे कि अब क्या करना है, कैसे मतलब यू स्टार्ट यू थिंकिंग कंटेंट, राइट? आई एम अ वेरी कंटेंट काइंड ऑफ गाय। तो अब इसमें सबसे बढ़िया ग्रेटिफिकेशन क्या हो सकती है? कि यार कोई खेल रहा है, उसके ऊपर आप कमेंट्री करो, और आई मीन दिस इफ आई वर अ किड, मतलब मैं खेल रहा होता और उस पे टोनी ग्रेग की कमेंट्री होती है, आई एम नॉट सेइंग आई एम टोनी ग्रेग, पर अगर होती तो मैं तो कितना खुश हो जाता ना कि मतलब रिची बेनो ने मेरी कमेंट्री की, मतलब मैं खेल रहा था और रिची बेनो उसमें कमेंट्री कर रहे थे। आई डिडंट थिंक इट दैट डीप, बट सो वी स्टार्टेड लाइक दैट एंड वी आस्क्ड कि चलो भाई आप लोग भेज दो आप अपने शॉट्स भेजो। शॉट्स इतने आने शुरू हुए अंशु कि सडनली यू रियलाइज कि ओ माय गॉड, आई मीन हेलो, ये यू कांट सीव थ्रू द नंबर ऑफ मेल्स दैट आई गेट इन द डे। सो वी जस्ट रियलाइज द पोटेंशियल ऑफ दिस कि इससे अच्छा कनेक्शन क्या हो सकता है, इससे अच्छा कनेक्शन कुछ है नहीं। तो कहां तक ये पहुंचा कि लोगों ने तो फिर उसके बाद, क्योंकि सोशल मीडिया अलाउज यू टू दैट काइंड ऑफ लग्जरी लिबर्टी, कि मेरा कोई मैच का कोई ऑडियो निकाला, कोई एक डायलॉग निकाला, वो एक लाइन थी निकाली, लाइन को उसको ऑडियो यूज करके अपने शॉट पे लगा रहे हैं। तो वो आई कुड सी, मैंने कहा यार ये वहां का ऑडियो लगा रहा है, मैं नेचुरल देता हूँ भाई, एकदम ओरिजिनल ऑडियो देता हूँ आपके लिए, काहे को आपका वहां का उठा के लगाना है। सो आई वेंट डाउन दैट रूट एंड टच वुड इट्स हिट अ कॉर्ड, क्योंकि अल्टीमेटली so you have to give something to people ना, मतलब they are the people who actually watch you, they are the people जिनकी वजह से आप
with you.
So they are a part of my family, my ecosystem. Family कई बार बहुत ज्यादा superficial लोग बोल देते हैं मेरी family है, पर सच ये है कि अगर वो सुनते हैं तो आपको, it is a community. So that community is so it's a two-way relationship. They come, they watch. I try to do my bit कि चलो जी, let me also try and include them in my community a bit more. And it takes some doing. It takes कि I go through the videos and then I select and then I voice over, then I send to an editor, then he patches it up and all of that. So there is a process and there is no money in it. There's no commercial angle to it. पर इसमें मजा है क्योंकि कुछ देने में अच्छा लगता है यार. It feels nice कि people really value it, and value है तो सही है. That's okay.
Beautiful. Aakash, one of the things that really intrigues me is, as a person, I mean, and I've had the pleasure of knowing you personally, you are somebody who's always looking at the future. And you know, if I look at the kind of work that you've done, like I think when you were playing, you wrote a book, right? At a very important juncture, you said, okay, let me move to commenting when Hindi was just starting to take up. आपने हिंदी में भी जो टोनैलिटी चूज किया, which was more from an entertainment perspective, right? Because that's probably what India wanted to hear, and that went on to become bigger and bigger. Then you started putting up a lot of stuff on YouTube. I think आपका YouTube itself has become like a production setup. This thing now you're producing. last year you gave your voice to a game and you became the first cricketer to have your voice in a game, in a cricket game. How do you see and keep evolving so much? How do you see bring on? I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have those kind of opportunities, but what is it that, and this is a question I'm asking all people, all my guests from all different, different walks of life, because I think the last 2 years, there's one thing, if all of us have learned, is to keep evolving and purana leke nahi baithna hai, because the world has changed. How do you look at the future? How do you grab on those opportunities? How do you say ki ye karna chahiye, ye nahi karna chahiye? What is your approach to doing new things and so many
Okay.
different things?
So fingers crossed, actually, that things have worked very well. Touch wood, Anshu, ki I've never been averse to taking risks. तो ये गेटिंग आउट ऑफ माई कंफर्ट जोन फॉर एग्जाम्पल, तो जब मैं दिल्ली में था, दिल्ली में क्रिकेट खेल रहा था, वहां से मैंने बस्ता पैक किया अपना और पहुंच गया राजस्थान. अब राजस्थान अगर मैं खेलने ही नहीं जाता, इजियर ऑप्शन ये थी, अभी अभी मेरी शादी हुई थी, इजियर ऑप्शन थी कि दिल्ली में रहता, दिल्ली में खेलता और दिल्ली से खेलता रहता. दिल्ली मतलब छोड़ के कौन जाता है? दिल्ली इज द कैपिटल एंड आई एम गोइंग टू जयपुर, टू अ टियर 2 सिटी. लेकिन अगर मैं नहीं जाता उस समय, तो हम 2 रणजी ट्रॉफीज नहीं जीतते, 2 रणजी ट्रॉफीज नहीं जीतते तो उसमें से एक बुक नहीं बनती. सो मतलब दिस इज कीप्स एडिंग अप. फिर वहां से मैं हिमाचल चला गया. हिमाचल अगर मैं नहीं जाता तो शायद मैं क्रिकेट खेलना छोड़ता ही नहीं. एंड दैट वाज आल्सो अ गुड थिंग इन द एंड, क्योंकि देयर इज ऑलवेज अ टाइम टू होल्ड ऑन टू एंड देयर इज आल्सो टाइम टू एक्चुअली लेट गो ऑफ, कि कभी आपको छोड़ना पड़ता है. तो वहां से छोड़ा. देन दिल्ली से मुंबई. अरे कौन मूव करता है ऐसे कि एक 9 month ओल्ड बेबी था मेरे साथ यार, और मैं, मेरी वाइफ एंड बेटे, चलो चलते हैं, लेट्स एक्सप्लोर अ न्यू वर्ल्ड एंड सी. एंड आई हेटेड मुंबई. आई हेटेड मुंबई व्हेन आई वाज अ क्रिकेटर. यहाँ जब आता था, आई डिडंट लाइक द सिटी वन बिट, पर आई टुक अ चांस कि चलो आते हैं, देखते हैं क्या करते हैं. सो 9 out of 10 times the opportunities that have presented themselves, they keep presenting. See, the thing is, they will keep presenting themselves. It's just that you need to be very okay with taking risk and failing. क्योंकि फेलियर तो होने वाला है. आप कुछ भी ट्राई करो, वो ट्राई करोगे, फिर ट्राई करोगे, नहीं होगा. ट्राई नहीं करोगे तो पता नहीं चलेगा. इट्स वेरी क्लीशे बट दिस इज हाउ इट इज. कि you try, and there are things, that's not that there are no failures, there are 100%, there are many failures. In fact, अभी मतलब YouTube की आपने बात की, तो we started YouTube memberships. But it didn't really fly. So it didn't really fly, तो now I've shut it down कि अब नहीं हो रहा है भाई, नहीं हो रहा था, नहीं हो रहा है. आपने ट्राई किया, लेकिन there is no shame in accepting कि भाई कोशिश की थी, ऑनेस्ट अर्नेस्ट कोशिश की थी, पूरा दिया, गिव आवर ओन. It hasn't happened, so it hasn't happened. Let's move on. Abhi we did this watch along. We have our lessons.
Facebook.
We have our lessons, but we took a chance कि यार करके देखेंगे तो पता चलेगा ना कि इसमें कितना दम है. मतलब yes, it requires effort, it requires time, it requires energy, it requires a lot of conviction, and it also is a thing that, okay, you're putting yourself out there for everyone to see if you're failed or succeeded. And every failure will push you back a little, but failure is not a failure. Now it gives you lessons, important lessons. So that has been the thing. I've been very fortunate, honestly, क्योंकि बहुत बार it actually it's not all by design. कि भाई मैंने लिखना शुरू किया. I wrote a book 2007-8. I was still playing. But 3 years before that, Hindustan Times offered me a job. Now, what are the chances of Hindustan Times offering a cricketer a job? But Arun Jaitley ji at that time spoke to Shobana Bhartiya ma'am, and then they figured out कि यार आकाश को job चाहिए, दे दो यार. So they didn't want me to do anything, but I felt कि if I'm paid by an organization, let me do something for the organization. No, सिर्फ पैसे लेने का क्या काम हुआ? So I started writing. Whatever little I could write, I started writing. They started publishing, and eventually I grew as a writer. So multiple things have happened. I don't take credit for everything. मतलब अगर स्टार हिंदी नहीं शुरू करता और वो नहीं कहते कि चलो आप दिल्ली से मुंबई आ जाओ, हो सकता है वो कहानी कुछ और ना होती. हो सकता है मेरी 8 अकेडमीज होती. आप से अंशु, एक बात तो पक्की है कि I would have kept hustling. I'm a hustler. I would have kept hustling. If not this, I would have done something else. But हाँ, एक जगह पे बैठता तो नहीं, पर a lot of things are destined. I feel very blessed. की चीजें they have just fallen in place. मतलब हिंदी कमेंट्री का जो टोनालिटी की आपने बात की, कोई कॉन्शियस एफर्ट नहीं है कि ये करना है. सो फॉर एग्जांपल, आई स्टार्टेड गिविंग मिडिल नेम्स टू प्लेयर्स बेस्ड ऑन द कैरेक्टरिस्टिक. So like Virat Run Machine Kohli, I remember, right? Virat Run Machine Kohli, Cheteshwar Dependable Pujara, and all of that. So one day I went to Wankhede Stadium and there was this, I think, 50-meter long banner, Virat Run Machine Kohli. I said, okay, fine, man, you've arrived. So this
Amazing.
thing, you tried doing something, nobody told me to do it. There's no, and there is no manual, so there was no this thing ki, okay, this is what you can try. I tried, I put myself out there to be failed and loathed and criticized. A lot of people must have, क्योंकि प्योरिस्ट है, वो कहते देखो यार कहाँ कितने अच्छे थे सुनील सुशील दोषी जी और विनीत गर्ग जी, वो होती थी कमेंट्री, ये देखो क्या है, ये बॉलीवुड स्टाइल में कमेंट्री करता है. पर आई ट्राइड, अगर नहीं करता तो फिर जो सारे थे उनके साथ साथ मैं भी रहता. See, I've not played 100 test matches, Anshu, which is not that bad a thing when you think about innovation. You talk about trying. A lot of successful people can't try. They don't have the luxury to try because they just cannot fail. So when you can't fail, failure is not an option. You can't try. I don't come with any of such baggage. I come with 10 test matches. It's a very limited kind of international experience. And for me to stay relevant, I need to keep hustling. If I'm not hustling, I'm not there. I will not be relevant enough. So I understood that, or just tried to understand the pulse of what is happening. So fortunately, God's been very kind that things have fallen in place quite nicely. And again, अभी तो शुरू हुआ है मुझे लगता है, क्योंकि कहानी तो इससे यहाँ से बहुत आगे बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग तरीके से मोड़ लेने वाली है, क्योंकि digital world, the way it is going to go with all the content and programming and all of that, I think abhi to we are just at the tip of the iceberg.
So in fact, this was my next question. From a cricketer, a sports person, to a commentator, to a creator, because in my mind you are a sports creator, right? Sports content creator. And I know it, I'm doing this podcast as a side thing. I know how much time it takes. But I also remember having this conversation, one particular conversation with you, where you told me कि आकाशवाणी अंशु वो सुबह 7 या 8 बजे आई थिंक लाइव हो जाता है. एंड आई लाइक, आई एम अ कंटेंट पर्सन, आई एडवाइस क्रिएटर्स, आई वर्क विद आर्टिस्ट. आई वाज लाइक, वाओ, दिस मैन ट्रैवल्स सो मच, राइट? हाउ डज ही Akash, what is that thing? How do you manage to consistently put out content? Because what happens is, especially with creators, irrespective of the genre that you are in, after a year or two you get tired. How do you, what is your advice to creators, irrespective of the genre, to consistently create content, to be associated with it, maintain that quality, but at the same time, not get burnt out? Because burning out is a huge issue.
It is. I agree. I totally get it. Totally hear it. That 7 a.m. was an experiment. It just worked out. और उसके बाद we reached a stage जहाँ पे मतलब you start working for that organization कि अब ये एक entity आपने create कर दी. Now पहले आपने create की थी. And now entity is forcing you to now do certain things because that's an obligation that you need to fulfill. Fortunately, I don't know that burnout. I've heard this before many times. Ki yaar, don't do so much that you are burnt out. I'm creating a lot, but I still feel that I'm not burnt out. I'm not feeling tired. I'm not even feeling burdened. So the day I start feeling burdened about something कि यार ये अब ये भी करना पड़ेगा यार, I mean it's not good, क्योंकि content कुछ है नहीं लेकिन फिर भी निकालना पड़ेगा क्योंकि commitment है. See, there are about 4, 5, 7 days in a year when I also feel the same way कि बहुत ज्यादा नहीं है, क्योंकि cricket world जैसे COVID में था. COVID was a time when everything came to a standstill and we thought that okay, we'll continue to do something. Now what that something was for everyone to figure कि भैया क्या कर सकते हैं. So we came up with ideas, we did that. So that was a constant challenge and it just set you up for better things in life, because उससे ज्यादा challenge तो नहीं हो सकता ना कि sports creator हो आप and you have no sports. I mean क्या बात करोगे? Sports industry was the biggest hit at that point. It had taken the biggest hit because sports का fundamental that is lifeblood is live. If there is no live sport for 6 months, that's it. The industry disappears. So that was a challenge. पर अभी मतलब passion है यार. I mean, I love doing what I'm doing. So even when I'm not doing anything, I'm actually thinking कि अच्छा इसके अंदर क्या हो सकता है. Then I'll start making notes. Then I'll trouble my team कि अच्छा ऐसा करते हैं, ये एक और हम काम कर सकते हैं, हमने नहीं किया यार. Let's explore that part as well. Let's do this thing. Let's stretch a little further and see कि क्या कर सकते हैं. Fortunately अभी तक तो नहीं आया burnt out वाला case because cricket is, I'm very passionate about it यार. I live it anyway. मतलब ये नहीं भी करूंगा तो क्रिकेट देखूंगा, नहीं भी करूंगा तो क्रिकेट की बात करूंगा. The only time when I get pushed a little is when when I have to go away from my kids. That is a new experience altogether. Daughter is 8, elder is 8, the younger one is 4. तो अब जब उनसे थोड़ा टाइम खींचना पड़ता है, चुराना पड़ता है, तो then I genuinely feel कि यार ये this is a little cruel. उसके अलावा I never feel कि यार I'm doing something which I should not be doing, or I'm doing a bit more than what I should be doing. There is a lot of fun and joy that I derive from what I do, and therefore I look forward to it. If you take that part away from my life, there'll be hollowness. So touch wood, God's been kind. Cricket हो रही है, उसके बारे में बात कर रहा हूँ. I think what better to actually do in life than watching cricket and talking about cricket for a guy who played cricket all his life. I mean, this is a blessing, Anshu. Honestly, everybody is not that best.
I agree. I agree. But also, I guess you got to keep hustling and keep, just put your head down and constantly keep working and improving. In all of this, how do you compartmentalize? Because you just mentioned about, your family. And I know there are times I've spoken to you where you're like, okay, wait, my daughter's here. Let me call you back and stuff like that. How do you compartmentalize in all of this between, you're a sports person. So I'm sure the self-care part doesn't go, and you're on the camera, so you have to maintain yourself, you have to maintain your voice, not talk for a while, because I think the best exercise is to give it a break, right? How do you compartmentalize between self-care, between family, between preparation, and between doing what you do and travel?
Okay, so self-care is one thing that goes for a toss. That's the first casualty in all of this, because I'm a full-time father. Yeah, I'm absolutely full-time hands-on father. From if I'm home, you can't separate me from my kids. It's like a magnet. So I would do everything from feeding them to washing them to brushing their teeth to putting them to sleep. I am like all over. So yeah, when I'm home, I feel okay. There is guilt. There's certain amount of guilt. I tell you why. When I'm traveling, like for example, I'm in quarantine now. I won't see my kids for 2 months. I feel guilt that this was okay. I love my work, and this work is important. Even for them, it is important in a very different sense. For them to have a very comfortable living, this machine has to continue working. But there is a guilt with regards to not just kids, for Akshi as well. That okay, now she's alone fending for herself with 2 young kids. She has a support system, but then I'm not there, right? She understands. She's a pillar of support, and she would obviously never let me feel that Akash, you're not there. But I know, yeah, if I were to do the same thing alone, and Akshi wasn't there, and I would like after a while I'd say, what is this, yeah? I mean, yes, okay, fine, you're working, you're bringing in the money and all of that, but hang on, this doesn't earn you money, but this is equally important, and it is very time consuming, and it is draining at times.
Yeah.
So I do feel a lot of guilt when I'm home and I'm not working, because when I'm working I feel a little bit of like fair amount of guilt. So when I'm home, so that first thing that goes for a toss is self-care. So exercise, there's that takes a backseat. I'm waiting for my kids to grow up where so elder one is reaching that stage, younger one will at some stage where I could just take them for a run. So that would be my okay, fine. This is my training time with them, and we do this all together. So waiting for that time. Till that point in time, that goes for a bit of that is a casualty that gets compromised a little. Work etc. is fine. See, work etc. is fine. I don't require that much time, because from writing, I think it came because it started with writing. So writing का all फंडा जो शुरू से मैंने किया था, जिंदगी भर जो सीखा वो यही था कि whatever I'm doing, I'm thinking that article in my head. So it's constantly, there is a thread that's building. So when I sit on the laptop, it's a 45-minute job to write 1,000 words. So and once I start writing, I do not go back. I don't go edit. I don't go upper niche this that, because there is a thought that is nurtured, that's been nurtured for a week or 4 days or 5 days, and enough thought has already gone into it. So I know pretty much what I need to write, and that's it. I write and I send it away. Just read it once, cursory, some grammatical errors, and just shoot it off. I do not change it. So content creation works in the same fashion. Before I sit and start recording, put that video okay on time. I really am not. I don't do retakes. That's what I don't do retakes. They're all one take stuff. Do your preparation, whatever in your mind. So multitasking, I think that comes naturally to all of us, more to women with the kids as well. So that doesn't take too much of my time. when I'm home, when I'm with them. When I'm with them, I'm with them completely. Yes, but self care is one, and then time with wife actually takes a bit of a beating, because now
Yeah.
you have to now juggle, right? You have to negotiate that. Okay, this is X amount of time. There is a lot of guilt that you have not given time to the kids, and kids are far more like they cling on to
Yeah.
you,
When you
because
when you have kids, I mean, they become the priority. Yeah.
so then of course, so the wife has every right to feel once in a while कि यार क्या करते हैं, मतलब okay fine whatever, I understand that you love them, but oh, where is my husband? She has the right to ask कि भाई बाकी
Yeah.
सब कुछ ठीक है, you're the father, but where is the husband? So that is a little bit of a casualty every now and then, but I think this is wait for kids to grow up. I think things will change
This is
again.
part of our lives, I guess. With the current kind of lifestyles and the
Correct.
the job demands, and yes, content.
Correct.
I mean, things like content, which is a 24-hour job,
Correct.
technically.
Correct.
So yeah, but it's interesting. Akash, last one
Hmm.
question. I think it's like more of a personal question. You've been a sports person. You're an entrepreneur now, commentator, creator. But in all of this, I know you said self care goes for a toss. But as a sports person, what is one thing that you would advise to anybody who's
Hmm.
in the business of who's in sports or even in content, right? From a self care perspective, one or two things that are really important to be able to sustain for a long time.
Manage your time. Time is finite, and if you don't do it well, you'll always be chasing your tail. So when I'm here, for example, while talking to you, it's like what 4:30, 5 o'clock in the evening. I've done one session, a training session already. I'll do one more training session. So when I have the time, this is just room. It's in isolation, one room of a hotel. It's not even a suite. It's just a decent, good sized room. I do about 11 kilometers in one room.
Wow.
I do about
How?
14,000 steps.
How?
So
Just
I run in the room. I run for 15 minutes. Like I run for actually 30 minutes in the room as well. I can do that. So it's just this much, but I will do it because I know I have to do it and I won't get the same opportunity again. So this is my time. Okay, do it. So time management, I think, is absolutely critical. If you do not manage your time, you will be struggling, and then it starts spilling over. When you're with kids, you're not with kids. When you're working, you're not working. When you're training, you're not training. You're sleeping, you're not sleeping. So eat well and manage your time well. That really helps. That being a sports person, we understand कि सुबह ना जो toss है ना उतने बजे ही होता है. So you can be like, no matter who you are, toss is not going to wait for you, right? So discipline is something that is now we are hardwired that way. So time management is one thing which is worked beautifully, even for 7 days of quarantine where you have only one room to yourself. Find a routine and don't miss a beat. Then just be absolutely consistent with it. Otherwise, 7 days of isolation can actually kill you mentally because there's nothing to
yeah,
do. There's just one
yeah.
room, same walls, four walls. That's it. So much so I've not turned on my TV. I've not switched it on for 5 days, and it will not be switched on at all because I don't need it. That's
Not
that's
got the
that's
time.
that's not required. It's okay. If I need my entertainment, I'll watch something somewhere else. But that's just a waste of time. So I wouldn't do that. But time management is something that everybody has to understand in this world. Otherwise, they're designed to fail.
Interesting. That was quite interesting. I think it was a. I don't know if you've ever spoken about this part of
I haven't
of
actually.
and it has been on my mind for the last 2 years because I just thought that this part of you, where people only see you commenting and doing this thing. I mean, this is the real part, and this had to come out. So thank you so much for sharing whatever
my,
you do.
my
Uh,
pleasure. My pleasure, Anshu. More power to you. Keep doing that. Keep asking these questions and keep bringing out these stories. You do a lovely job anyway, and I know you have a little one as well. Not so little anymore. So,
Absolutely.
so figuring out life around kids is never easy. So, well done to what you're doing.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you, Aakash.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Anshu.
If you've enjoyed this conversation, please make sure you hit the like button, comment what was your favorite part, and also subscribe to the channel. We have lots of fantastic people coming up. This podcast is available on your podcast app by the name Questions I Wanted to Ask. You can also follow me on social media for more updates, short format content. Links will be in the description.